Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Ty Christensen. Most excellent. We've got Jordan Christensen on the pod.
Most bogus.
Most non-heinous. Today, we are discussing Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. This movie, holy cow. This movie, I'm pulling it up right now because I don't know anything about it. Bogus Journey. It came out in 1991.
Except that it's Keanu.
Has Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter and William Sadler. I gotta say, freaking Grim Reaper, William Sadler. I'll always remember him as the guy in Rocket Man. He is so great. I love him. He's the Grim Reaper. He is so brilliant. He's so wonderful. He's the guy that eats hemorrhoid cream. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
It's hemorrhoid cream. Hemorrhoid cream. Freaking love that, dude. This movie was directed by Peter Hewitt. Its writers were Chris Matheson, Ed Solomon, and it stars, like I mentioned, Keanu Reeves. The Keanu Sans is alive and well. Alex Winter, William Sadler, Joss Ackland, Pam Grier, George Carlin. I always forget that he's Rufus. That's so crazy. Amy Stotch, Jim Martin, Hal Landon Jr., Alec Azcui. Azcui? That's a weird name. And Sarah Trigger. So, let's get into this movie. What was it like watching this movie for the first time or rewatching it for the podcast? I watched this movie, like, last year for the first time, and I was like, in preparation of Bill and Ted's Face the Music. There was a third Bill and Ted movie coming out. I had seen the first one, loved it as a college movie. I love Bill and Ted. I think it's so fun. And watching the second one, I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's funnier than the first one. I think this is funnier than the first one. I really do. I think that the Bogus Journey is a comedy sequel that's funnier than the original. Don't know how that's possible. I think it's the only one that exists. It's a delight. So watching it again was so funny. I've seen this movie now 3 or 4 times. I've seen it most out of all the 3 Bill and Ted's movies. So, Jordan, what was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast?
I think I was like okay to do the second one, thinking it was because on Parks and Rec, what's that? The girl that says "treat yourself." What's her name again?
Oh, I don't remember her name. What's her name?
Well,
Tiana or something.
I like when they throw in little nuggets in TV shows and movies when they're like, "Oh, this is my favorite movie." When a character says that, because I wonder if that's like a director or a writer putting that in. Like, I always listen very intently on Quentin Tarantino when he says like, "Oh, this movie is really good." An actor says that because that's Quentin writing that into the film.
Right. And then you go watch those films.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he was inspired by this. Yeah.
So that's why I was actually excited to do this one, because she mentioned it being her favorite movie. And you also maybe built it up a little bit too much because you said this one was better than the first. I don't know if I agree with that.
So much fun. You don't think so?
No,
is that right? I have to ask, under what circumstance did you watch it? Are you like Cameron and just watch these movies by yourself?
Well, yeah, I was thinking of...
Dude, someday we're all going to watch Bill and Ted together.
No, I'm done watching these movies.
I am so much fun to watch this movie with.
I don't know. I almost enjoyed the third one, though, better. I don't know. The first one, out of all of them, is probably my favorite right now. And then the third, then this one would be last. Sorry, Ty.
That's so crazy that you say that. That's so crazy.
I'm glad we watched it, though, because I've had it on my bucket list forever, so I've been, like, meaning to watch it. There's parts I enjoy of it. Not my favorite movie, though.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know how that made it into the movie. That was exciting. Dude, honestly, I just think it's so funny. I don't know why. Let's get into 2 of our favorite things. I love the quotes. This movie's so flippin' quotable. It's so funny.
See, I feel like I wish we'd grown up watching this one and Wayne's World, because we didn't grow up with it.
Yes. If it would have so easily meshed with everything else. I honestly feel like this is one of those weird movies, this, Wayne's World. They just seemed like dirtier movies, but compared to like Austin Powers and all the other ones that we didn't grow up watching, like this is pretty tame.
Yeah.
Well, mind you, it is a PG movie.
Oh, is it really? I thought it was PG-13.
Yes. No, it's PG.
Man, they got some terrifying stuff in this.
Horror movie elements, which I'm going to get into, which is my second favorite thing. So my first favorite thing is how quotable it is. My second thing is there is another movie baked inside this movie, which is like deep concept.
Or try like
it's
10
meta.
movies baked inside this movie.
It literally has like this horror movie element where they go to hell. This movie is literally Dante's Inferno. They go to actual hell, they piss off Satan, and then they have to choose their forever purgatory. And there are some horrifying childhood trauma.
Yeah, give me a kiss.
The grandma, oh my gosh. Come here, I'm gonna kiss for your dear old granny. He's like getting closer and closer to the screen.
But
all I want is one right on the lips, and then when he's running down the hallway, he's like
but it doesn't top though.
So
Iggy, Ziggy, Icky, Ziggy. You can't beat that.
I don't know, dude. I think that grandma running down the hallway frantically scared me so bad. And just like running, just want one on the lips. So effing scary. And then, oh my gosh, I'm crying. We'll get into two of our favorite.
Well, I feel like
this
this is the type of movie I love. I'd probably love more to quote. Like it goes along the lines of like Napoleon Dynamite, Nacho Libre. Like those movies, I like quoting more than I like watching them.
That is true, and it's fun to have like that in your arsenal of movies to quote, because it is very quotable, right?
Yeah.
Like I noticed that on Wayne's World. I'm like, oh, this is a lot more quotable than I gave it credit for. It was like the first time I watched Hot Rod. I'll be honest, I left it and I was like, there was a lot of funny scenes, but I couldn't quote any of them because I didn't remember any of the lines. All I remember is like, if a grilled cheese sandwich and a taco were to fight, who would win? And he goes, well, the grilled cheese, are they fighting by prison rules? And that's the only quote I remembered. And the giant fall that he has, where he literally falls for like 5 minutes straight down the mountainside. I couldn't quote it. I would tell people, I'm like, Hot Rod is so funny. Like the stunts in it are really funny, but I'm like, I couldn't remember any quotes. Now I'm like, pools are great for holding water. Like that is so funny. I love that movie now. I will forget. Yeah, Hot Rod is so funny now, and it's so quotable. But like, yeah, you grow up with it, and it takes on its identity on you, man. That terrifying Tim Burton-esque Robert Zemeckis feel where they're in this fever dream, and they're in army military camp. They're in grandma, like a creepy birthday for grandma, and then like an Easter bunny, like it's terrifying. You broke the Easter basket for Connor or whatever it was. It was so scary. Oh my gosh. So Jordan, what are your two favorite things from this movie?
Oh man, that was reminding me of Cruel and Unusual. Do you remember that movie? Like they're stuck in hell and they have to keep reliving the worst moment of their life over and over.
No.
Okay. Anyways,
I don't know that one.
We watched it. It's just been a long time, and it's an indie
like
film.
On TV or something? Or,
no, it was like on Netflix.
Oh wait, Cruel and Unusual. Yeah, I remember that movie.
Yeah,
the old guy with glasses, or the chubby guy with glasses that's in purgatory.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of like that. This movie has like you were saying, like it has another movie in it. I think it has like 10. There's so many things baked into this thing that it seriously goes from one movie to the next. And I guess I wasn't expecting that. Maybe I would like it more on a second viewing, but it was so jarring to me because I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening now? Like we're in a whole another place.
They're in hell and then they're in heaven.
Well, even before you get to hell, like they're evil spirits, and I mean not evil, but they're just spirits, and
Bill and Ted are killed. Yeah, they kill Bill and Ted, like in the beginning of this film.
Yeah, and then there's like a seance thing, and they're like they show up at that, and then they possess two.
Exorcist 1 and 3. It should work. Yeah,
and then they possess their dad, which I thought was pretty funny. Actually, the more I think about it, like the more I'm enjoying it. I actually think this is a more, like I said, a more fun film to talk about, and I think this has a lot of quotable things. I love. I mention this all the time, but practical effects are some of my favorite things, and this movie's, oh my goodness, is it ever so jam-packed full of them.
Chock full of them.
Yeah, I love when every time they, like, they just keep, like, repeating and showing themselves.
Every time. They have this robot suit, and they just tear it open or tear their head off.
They tear the head off. It's so cool looking. It's really rad.
Yeah.
Like,
and the skeleton head, and then putting the rubber back on, and then all of a sudden it cuts to the reaction, then it cuts back to him, and it's just the actors like messing with their mouth. Like I think it's so funny.
Oh yeah,
it's like clearly the rubber suit and the practical, and then cuts back to.
It totally reminds me of Army of Darkness, you know, and he's like shaking his face, and then he's like, "Whoa."
Whoa. After he touches the Necronomicon,
Yeah.
gets sucked into the black hole. So great, dude. I'm gonna get into like some other things. So
Yeah.
what I loved is the Grim Reaper was such a fun addition that it was missing in the first one, because Bill and Ted are so similar. It's hard, like when you think about it, it's like, who is the villain? And this one actually has like a very clear villain. Like, it reminds me so much of the Super Mario Brothers movie, where there's like this crappy villain, just this ugly old guy. He hates Bill and Ted for some inexplicable reason. He's like hates the future. They all live in this utopia.
And is that the same villain from Lethal Weapon 2? He's like, diplomatic immunity.
It probably is. I wouldn't
so.
know, because Nomolos or whatever.
He
his
just
name
makes
is,
a great
Nomolos.
villain, so...
I do know that he's in Lethal Weapon 2. You're right. I think that's him.
Yeah, so I forgot that he was even a villain in this movie, because he's so, like, cookie cutter villain. Like, I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's just so many.
It's absurd.
There's so many other things going on too. I forgot about him.
Evil yeah. He is not like although there is that showdown at the end where he goes, "Hey, if I win this
That
whole
reminds me of the
ordeal,
first
I'm
movie.
gonna time travel."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the callback, and he goes, "I'm gonna time travel and give myself a key," and then he uses the key, unlocks the cage that they dropped on him, and he goes, "Okay," and then a gun just magically appears in his hand. Like, we don't know where the gun came from, and then all of a sudden he fires it, and it has like the wild stallion bang flag, and it's so stupid. It's so stupid because they're like, "Oh, we went back in time and put the." It's like, where did they know that guy was going to draw that gun from? Like, as far as we know, it appeared out of fetching nowhere. It's so stupid, and that's why I love it. It's so ridiculous, and it's like, we're the ones that actually win, so we tricked you. It's just so stupid.
I love when they're like thinking, and then a bag falls out of the sky, and also it like knocks the gun out of his hand. It's like so cheesy. It's so funny.
It's so great.
It's like it's just like when they're like trash can, and it like falls on top of the
remember
dad.
trash can, and it just falls out of nowhere. It's like, did they design a contraption that would, it makes no sense.
Just out of the sky.
Which is so funny, because, and again, Face the Music was so great, how they're like, how are we going to get away from ourselves? Because we'll remember how we got out of here. And he goes, so they put garbage bags on their head, or baskets on their head, and blindfold, or buckets on their head, and they blindfold themselves, and they escape out of blind luck. It is so funny. That is funny. I love the Grim Reaper. He was such a funny addition to this, because they Melvin him and them like leaving the Grim Reaper behind and then having to beat him in all those games, which is probably one of the funniest scenes. From the Grim Reaper to Station Alien. I don't know why. Those are the Station Alien is so funny. The scene where the alien is making the robot parts in the back of the van had me crying. I was laughing so hard. He's just like frantically throwing his hands together, and his face is making all these faces. He's got like a welding cap on. He's designing two life-size animatronic Bill and Teds, like robot Bill and Teds, to fight the other two robot evil Bill and Ted. It's just so absurd.
Or before that, when they like ran at each other and just became a mush.
These are two ugly, fat, big-butted aliens, and they end up mushing together into this giant golem, like this terrifying creature. And he's like super friendly. He's like, "Station." He only says one word.
I'm actually really bummed Cameron didn't have to watch this. Gosh dang it.
Dude, I'll say it for him. What the fudge am I watching is exactly what I thought. And then at the very end, they're like, "You have the most bodacious butt," or something like that. And then the Grim Reaper's like, "Hey, don't let my butt go unnoticed. I work out a lot. It takes a lot of carbs to reap souls," or whatever. You're like, what? It's like, why is the Grim Reaper? He's like a jealous friend. It is so funny. Grim Reaper is such a great character.
I love, dude, one of my favorite parts is when they're playing board games together, and every time they win, he's like, best 2 out of 3.
Best 2 out of 3. Best 3 out of 5. And then he goes, best of 7. He's like, right. So they play. Do they
Battleship
play chess with
was
him at
first.
Yeah, or Battleship first.
Or was it chess
then,
first? I can't remember.
I think it was chess.
Chess,
and then don't they,
Battleship.
Yeah, and then Battleship, and then after Battleship they play
Clue.
the Clue, and then they play Twister. And I don't like. I think that was all the ones they had there. But what I love is when they're playing charades at Station or at the alien called Station. Grim Reaper gets super caught up in the moment, and he guesses this obscure Butch Cassidy Sundance Kid film or whatever, and then like it goes quiet, and everyone's like, Grim Reaper, not cool, man. He was doing his best and his darndest to guess what they were mimicking or miming, and everyone just gets like super pissed at him.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah, it was so weird.
Everyone was just like, "What's wrong with you?" He becomes the butt end of the joke. He's like a Squidward, basically of this movie. But he has a heart. It's the Grim Reaper with heart. He's like a super sweet character, and at the end, he gets to Melvin, the evil Demonolo or whatever his name is, Denomolus or whatever, the evil guy. He Melvins him, and he's like, Melvin. So funny, which is just giving him a wedgie. And then the creepiest thing is when Denomolus receives his wedgie, he makes the weirdest face where he's like, oh. Because immediately when he gets wedgies, he's like, oh. And then like the scene after going back to his reaction, he like,
oh yeah,
smiles.
It was weird.
It's so weird.
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
So weird.
I do
it's
remember that.
It makes me laugh every time I think of it. It's just bonkers.
I gotta say, the song at the end of this movie was better than the song at the end of the third one. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, definitely. They got some.
Let's bring the whole world
just,
together. Ding, 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 ding.
It's just so crappy. But I like how they all came together. What's so funny in this one is like, we're gonna throw the Battle of the Bands. We're gonna have a song now, and they're like, we still don't know how to play, and so they disappear and come back. It's like, that was an intense 13 months of training. They come back with the full beard. and they're like all of a sudden rock stars. I think it's so funny. It's a great another time traveling thing at their disposal. What I like
Those
about it
beards are
again
great.
is I almost feel like you would dislike Bill and Ted more, but like somehow they're so charming and they're endearing and they're not too over the top. And it's not so painful and cringeworthy, but it's like they just grow on you because Keanu Reeves is so genuine,
Yeah.
Like he is not fake, he's not phony. Like that's who he is. And Alex Winter, the same.
Except that his robot is fake.
Yes, and the robots are evil, but even the evil robots are kind of charming somehow.
Yeah, they
I don't
actually
know how
are.
that is. They're like super funny. like he's like looks at the picture of his girlfriend and he's just like, whoa, I got a full robot or something like that.
I love that part. I wasn't going to quote that because it's super vulgar, but...
Oh my gosh, forget it, dude. It's freaking hilarious. I love when they're like, he's totally a robot. And then, he opens up his stomach or pulls back his head. And then he's like, so are you. And that's just so great. Yeah, those prosthetics. And then, catch you later, evil dude. I think that's so funny. But this movie has heart, too. That was the other thing I loved about it. Like, Bill and Ted are two sweet guys that are going to, like, propose to their girls. It reminds me of, like, Dude, Where's My Car meets, like, I don't know, like,
I feel like this would have been a different viewing experience if I had watched this one first before the third, because there's a lot of things that the third has that this one does too.
Yes, that's the thing. See, because the third one also has callback. Like, you didn't know who the Grim Reaper was. Like, that reunion they have at the end is a lot more emotional, especially when you watch the end montage of this movie. It is the funniest post-credit scene in a long while. Did you see all the headlines that were coming out about them like saving the world and changing the world, making world peace? It's just with their stupid song, like they solved world peace because of the song they played. It's so ridiculous and tongue-in-cheek. It's so funny.
that people are actually enjoying it. It's funny.
Exactly. They loved it. They couldn't get enough of it. So some of the things I just love though, like almost like Good Burger, like the creepy.
It reminded me of Good Burger. That's funny you say that.
Yes. There's like very like the whole dream sequence where the burgers are talking to Ed reminded me of the whole purgatory thing, like all creepy things where it's like they built this movie around this one joke and it's like, does it really work? I don't know, but like if you grew up watching it, you never forget it. You never forget those things. So do you have any questions or nitpicks, I guess? I think there's a few, obviously.
I mean, I felt a bit just disjointed, some of the, because there's just so much that happens, but but that's the point though, so I can't knock it because it's just like, well, like all the stuff that I might per se have a nitpick, it was made for a point. Like it.
Yes. And to be fair, what I think is so remarkable is that this is a comedy sequel. Now, when comedy sequels come out, it's usually here's all the B-roll jokes that didn't make it into the film. We'll put it into the sequel. All the deleted scenes, all the funny jokes that we didn't run with last time, we'll throw them in here, slap it, a label on it, and here's your comedy sequel. And it's always garbage. it's usually just more of the same or more fart jokes or callbacks to the first one.
I was a little bummed that the girls were different than the first movie.
Yeah, they couldn't land the same actresses. I mean, this is like 5 years later, though, I think, right? Or let me check. I don't know if it's exactly 5. They say in the movie that it's been 5 years. Let me see, Bill and Ted. Because this one came out in 1991. Yeah, the first one was 89. So this is 1990, what was it, 1? So 2.5, 3 years later. So like 3 years later, and they play it off as if 5 years has passed. So yeah, I don't know why they couldn't get the same actresses. Who knows, right? It's amazing. Like I said, the fact that this comedy sequel gets made, and again, I had someone down the line tell me it wasn't good, and I watched it, and I was just pleasantly surprised because I was like, I only watched these movies so late in the game. Like I watched the first one in college, and I loved it. I was like, this is going to be one of those great college movies I keep. Watched it in college. It was so funny. Watched it with all my friends.
I'm glad that they decided to take a different turn and that they just didn't make the same movie that the first one was.
Yes. Talk about risks. I mean, it's so weird. This has like a clear villain, like a cartoonish villain at that, but they have like evil Bill and Ted. They actually kill Bill and Ted. They go through heaven, then they end up going to through. They go to hell, then they go to heaven. They talk to God. Like it's so crazy. Like swing for the fences, right? I mean, they literally introduce an alien that inexplicably morphs into one giant alien.
Well, and they kept weird. All the like little things that you liked about the original. Like the nice part is they had a few people from history kind of come in and out, and there's like when they're in heaven, you see all these people from history, which I thought was fun.
So funny. Einstein and
was Ali?
What was the other two?
Was Ali in there? I saw the guy with the boxing gloves, like walking.
Ali, yeah.
Oh, Ali, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, every like famous figurehead, they're all up in heaven.
Yeah, I saw Einstein. Like, I was just like looking. I was like, I wonder who all these people are. And like Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah, Benjamin Franklin.
He's like, what? You think the smartest people would be from Earth? I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, they're like two amorphous aliens that can only say one word. And he's like, you're an excellent scientist. It's like, what? Oh my gosh, dude. I love it too. Like the whole slacker vibe where it's like they're struggling to make ends meet working at pretzels and cheese or whatever. Well, it's like we can't feed a family off of the money we make at pretzel and cheese.
I love because you said one of your favorite parts was like in the back of the van making the robot. Well, what was funny was what they ended up looking like because I thought they were gonna look like Bill and Ted, but they looked like the ugliest robots I've ever seen in my life.
Scrap metal, like paper mache. Robot. Yeah, it's bonkers. It's absolutely crazy.
So funny.
But just when he is working, the robot's just like, and then they cut to his hands just like moving around and stuff. Like in that giant costume, it's not like he could actually do anything or see what he was doing, which is why it makes it all the funnier that he's like frantically like screwing stuff in. He has a dustbuster, like. It's a garden hose. Like he has all this stupid materials, and they make these two perfect robots. Like it's so ridiculous. Oh my gosh, I'm dying just talking about it. I love the whole like slacker vibe. Where like in the first one, they barely pass history, and then in this one, the dad, they talk to them. He goes, maybe you can talk to my old military friend. We can enlist you. And that creepy guy, he's like, how you doing, Ted? And he like puts his hand on his shoulder and he's just like, hey, we could enlist you. We could always use more people in the army or whatever at boot camp. And then after he gets everyone super uncomfortable, he's just like, hey, fresh fudge. It's just so weird. He's the weirdest guy, the drill sergeant, man. He's a character. And then they find him in hell where he's like telling him to drop and do 1,000,000 push-ups or infinity or whatever.
Infinity.
And it's great, that whole expectation. You need to grow up. It's like, I don't know what other movies it's like, like children just don't want to grow. It's like Neverland, right? You don't want to have responsibilities. You don't want to grow up. You don't want to be responsible. They just want to stay where they are. But it's really sweet. Like they propose to the ladies, to the babes. They propose. They have this wonderful poem recited for them, which they both had the same poem written. I don't know how that's possible. And they asked, will you marry us? It's so ridiculous. They both propose at the same time, asking if the girls, the medieval babes, will marry us. I just think that's so funny. But, oh man, it's so funny. Oh, I just thought of another great scene. When they're falling forever and they're screaming, they fall right after Satan throws them down even to farther hell. Or no, it's like between heaven and hell. I can't remember. And they're falling and falling and falling. And then he's like, "We're still falling!" Ah! And they keep screaming, and then they're falling forever. And he goes, "You want to play 20 questions?" He's like, "Yeah, okay, I got one." He goes, "Are you a mineral?" "Yeah." "Are you a tank?" "Yeah, you got it." It's like so stupid. I don't know. I love that so much. Like, so quotable. Like, "Are you a tank?" "Yeah." It just reminds me of Dumb and Dumber when they're playing like tag or like the
Quincy.
Take back, no Quincy's, yeah, no Quincy's. Double stamp. You can't double stamp a triple stamp. You can't double stamp a triple stamp. Lloyd. Lloyd. Guys. Oh my gosh, you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? I love it. There's another great quote when the military guy he's talking to them and he's like, "You boys are silky boys. Silk comes out of Chinese worms' butts." It's like the weirdest thing. He's circling them and just degrading them and demeaning them. I just think that's so funny. Oh, and then of course my last quote I could think of was when they were in heaven. He's just like, "Dude, we were in heaven and we just mugged 3 people." And they take their clothes and they go before God and they're like, "Hey God, send us back to Earth. We got to make a few rights wrong. Make right a few wrongs, unfinished business, and all that." And it's just so funny. Like, I don't think. Do you ever hear God say anything? I don't think He says anything.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't remember.
They just kind of like, "Hey, we love the planet. You know, you made a great solar system, and Jupiter, Venus, Uranus."
That for some reason never gets old.
I know, dude. The air guitaring, dude. So funny. I love it. And I love that the Reaper's in on it at the end where he's doing the air guitar. And my favorite is Station's air guitar after he makes the aliens. He's like, when they told me he has an awesome butt, he air guitar.
That's right. I forgot about
great
that.
Butt. He's like, oh my gosh. So funny. This movie makes no sense. You guys gotta watch it. It's so funny. I love this movie. Would you guys recommend Bill and Ted's Most Bogus Journey?
Yeah, I'd say watch the first one first.
Watch this trilogy. This is a funny comedy trilogy. Absolutely.
Ty, it's been like a year since we did the first one. Is that crazy?
Has it been a year?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, we've been on this podcast for too long.
And then
we're getting old.
In a year from now, we'll have to do the third one.
Yeah, a year from now. Remind me, next summer we'll do Bill and Ted Face the Music #3. Gosh, it's so great reviewing this movie. Hey, so we end every movie by sharing movies that we've seen lately and movies that we're looking forward to seeing. Jordan, hit us up. What have you been watching lately, man?
Oh boy, I've been watching so many different shows. I've already watched next week's shows, like Good Burger, but we'll get into that.
Good Burger. Ed, I see you.
I can't wait to talk about it. I'm so excited.
Don't sell me, Ed, please. I want to stay here with you.
Okay, so...
We love you, Ed.
Fly, Ed, fly. Yeah, see, like I said, I think we would have loved this movie more
absolutely.
Growing up watching it.
Dude, Granny, oh my gosh, that Granny. I want to show Cameron and Grant that scene. It probably won't have any weight, but just one little kiss. Remember she's running down the hall, her hands are like flying through the air. She's like...
I saw a documentary I think we should do on the podcast called Indie Game the Movie. Oh, I already mentioned that. Didn't I mention that last time, or did I just talk to you on the phone about it?
Yeah, I think you remember you mentioning it. What's it about again?
So YMS recommended it. It's a documentary about the kids that created Super Meat Boy, and it's motivational, inspirational. I saw both because he had a first documentary and then he made a second one, but they're in segments, so I'm guessing they're YouTube videos. So I don't know why I bought it, but but the first one's amazing. It's just so motivational. And then what else? Can't think of what I've watched. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So what I watched is I watched a documentary on the making of Trolls 2, or I don't know if it's necessarily the making.
Yeah,
it's I don't even know what it's called.
I started that one.
It's just like it's so great. Jordan, you know the daughter Like, it's hard to imagine. You know, the daughter, like, if my dad caught you in here, he'd cut your little off and he'd eat them. Like, that psycho chick, she's in Singles Ward. That's the lady that Will is obsessed with.
Huh?
The main girl, the main chick in Singles Ward, is the daughter in Trolls 2. The one that does the dance. She's the one that Will brings the Kentucky Fried Chicken from KFC.
Yeah, but she's
like, it's a family recipe, and she's like, nice try. I worked at KFC for a few summers.
That's her.
That's her, dude. Watch the making of.
I started it. I haven't finished it, though.
Half of the actors in Trolls 2, they filmed it in Utah. Half of them are Latter-day Saints. Half of them are Mormon, dude.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and the main kid, he was a Latter-day Saint. He's a Mormon. The one guy that, my favorite was the one store owner, the creepy guy. Don't you know that that's the devil's drink? He was like, he didn't know that the film came out. Like, he didn't know anything about it. No one bothered to tell him that the movie came out. And he goes, I was stoned out of my mind the entire time I filmed the movie. And he goes, I always hated that one kid that was in it. And when I had to feed him that creepy ice cream, he goes, I really wanted to shove it in his face. It's like,
oh my gosh.
He didn't like that child star actor. No, Bog, his goblin's not backwards. Yeah, he didn't care for that kid too much. But, and then one of them was like, yeah, I was serving a mission and the movie came out and I heard about it. Like it's like half of them are Latter-day Saints. It's so funny.
That's
great.
great.
Like,
I don't know that.
Kind of makes sense because I would say as far as churchgoers go, we don't have a lot of, I'd say, grade A actors. I mean, who do we have? Katherine Heigl, who no one will touch at this point, and Harvey Dent with Aaron Eckhart. Like, those are only two most famous that I can think of. And it was like Fred Willard, was that his name? I always forget his name in Anchorman. He was great. Just let the marching band go. What's his name? I think it's Fred Willard. I'll find it. But anyway, any other movies that you've seen lately? Yeah, Fred Willard. I called it. He was Ed Harkin. He was a Latter-day Saint, pretty sure. So it's good, dude. But yeah, half of that cast was LDS, and it's super funny.
So I started The Old Man and the Gun because it's the same director of Green. What's that movie that's coming out? The Green Knight.
Old Man and the Gun. Is that the one with Michael Caine, or is that the one with Robert Redford?
I think his name's Robert Redford. Yeah.
Okay. The Old Man and the Gun. Is that the one where he robs banks?
Yeah, yeah.
Robs banks. Yeah. Okay.
It's
I like
fun.
that movie. It's a good movie, dude.
Yeah, and then I started Drive. I mean, it's not started. I watched it again. So I've seen it so many times. I showed Tatiana like 5 different TV shows. We started It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. We watched Atlanta and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Just like my favorite episodes, just to see which ones, I just showed her the best episodes of different.
Yeah, it's like one. Yeah. Like, here's a little taste of this show. You want to go down that
little
rabbit hole
taste.
with me? Yeah. You want to go down that rabbit hole with me and watch all 15 seasons? I got to get back into Always Sunny, dude. That show is so great. Dude, I watched on Disney Plus. I watched Lucas. Did you see this movie?
No, but I'm caught up on Loki.
Oh, I'm caught up on Loki. Let's talk about it right now.
Wait,
okay?
there's 3 episodes though.
Oh wait, I have not seen the third. It just came out tonight. It just came out today, didn't it?
Yeah, I watched it today.
How did you watch it today? Okay, so I watched the first 2 episodes. You want to talk about the first 2?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I significantly like this second episode much more than the first.
Yeah, me too.
If that makes
Agreed.
sense. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, because like the first one, at first I was like, I'm really disappointed, but then as the second one went on, I was like, oh, I like this. I like how they.
I'm just surprised they didn't
created
get a more
terrorist.
famous girl actress for the Lady Loki. I don't even know what she's in. Are you okay with
I don't know
her?
what she's in either. Yeah, I don't know what she's in, but all I've seen of her is the very end of the episode 2. I'm sure you're going to see more of her, but like she's just there, and I'm like, oh, women Loki, or like everyone claimed it was Loki. Is she Loki in an alternate dimension? Is she one of Loki's people? Is she a frost giant? Is she from Asgard? Does anyone know? I have so many questions. So yeah, like I'm sure it was a big reveal for all the comic book nerds out there. I'm not that much of a comic book nerd. Even though I've seen all the movies.
Nerd?
Comic book nerd. Book nerd. Yeah, I'm not like I got I'm not as much of a nerd as like something about like The Walking Dead, where you played the video game, read the comic, and watched the show, did it all, and then watched like an episode or two of Fear of the Walking Dead and thought this is dumb.
Me too.
No offense to that show. I'm sure they worked really hard on it. As much as I like soap opera zombie things, which is why the TV show derailed for me. It's like, just get back to the Invincible, you know, like watch Invincible and you guys know what I'm talking about. Robert Kirkman is a pretty darn good storyteller.
Oh, yeah.
And Invincible is any indicator of that. It's a fetching cartoon and it literally just flooded pop culture. Like, you want to talk about, like, everyone memed the ending, which is unfortunate because, like, why would we live in a terrible time where, like, the most memeable moment is, like, the climactic moment where you find out everything
and everybody
in the movie,
spoils that.
and everyone spoils it. And I'm like, how dare this world? We live in a terrible time.
Like, Luke being at the end of Mandalorian ruined it. I was like, are you kidding me?
I didn't know that it was Luke, but I did hear that some character comes back. And I was like, okay, I'm assuming it's going to be one of the big ones. And I didn't actually expect Luke, so I was
That's why
fortunate.
I avoid social media like the plague. Gosh
Oh,
dang.
I know. Especially with, like, important monolithic culture. Yeah, like, anytime the new season of Stranger Things, like, don't go on social media for the next week and a half because all it is Stranger Things memes and spoilers, you know? Like, it's like, oh, this character, you know?
Well, I've been going back on Watch Mojo just to see like the top 10 like directors' movies, and so because I was like going through David Cronenberg's movies and stuff, and some of them I can't get through. I tried watching a few of them, and I'm like, this is so disgusting. I can't even get through this. This is so gross. Like The Dangerous Method. Oh no, thank you. And then
thanks.
I love Videodrome, so I rewatched that, and then I rewatched what's the one with Viggo Mortensen? Not A History of Violence. No, the other one.
Foreign Affairs or
no.
Peaceful. One second.
Eastern Promises.
I haven't even seen Eastern Promises.
Anyways,
I haven't even seen it yet.
So good, Ty. I watched it again, and I'm like, this movie's amazing. I cannot wait to do it with you on the podcast. Ty, I know I built up History of Violence. Maybe you won't like this. I don't know, but
no. And again, I liked History of Violence. I'm just surprised, is all. Like, I was very taken aback because I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I was expecting more violence. How bad does that sound to me? Like, the movie is violent, but like,
Ty's like, it wasn't enough that he's
films,
jamming his nose into his face.
Yeah, it's like when you watch Taxi Driver now, and it's like, yeah, like
that one's still crazy for me. I love it. I'm the type of person I love a slow burn if it has like just a few scenes that are so like intense that make the rest of it worth it.
Yeah, like I love him talking in front of the mirror, but I would rather watch The Godfather, and you need to watch that movie again because you want to talk about an intense movie scene. Al Pacino in the restaurant, Jordan. It will blow you away. You need to watch it again.
All right, I need to watch it.
I watch it and I get anxiety in that scene. Okay. So you'll know when you see it.
I feel like that's one I need to watch on the projector. Like really enjoy it.
Yes.
So I watched it on my iPhone and I'm like, yeah.
It's just not the same.
Oh, and the reason I brought up all that stuff is because we were talking about stuff that spoils stuff, and so anytime I go through the top 10 list on Watch Mojo, when it gets to a movie I haven't seen, I always skip over it because I'm like, skip. Yeah, I don't want to like ruin it.
I just, like I said, I now have a new philosophy. All you Futro fans out there listening, abide by Ty Christensen's theory, okay? Not my theory, this is my life path. When you watch a trailer and you make up your mind whether you're going to see it or you're not going to see it, stop watching the trailer. You'll enjoy the movie much, much more.
Yeah.
That's what I do now. When I watch a trailer and I made up my mind if I'm going to see it or not, I don't need to watch it anymore. One, if I'm not going to go see the movie, I don't need to waste my time watching the rest of the trailer. Well, it's not going to bring me any fulfillment. But when I know I'm going to see the movie, stop watching it because I will explain to you a perfectly good spoiler. You remember in the movie, the Rise of Skywalker, the very last Star Wars movie that came out? They had a shot where the Millennium Falcon comes into view and there's like all these ships behind it. Like, it's a pretty unforgettable visual. It's literally the Millennium Falcon coming into view and there's millions of spaceships everywhere else. And I'm like, I wonder if that's going to be a Deus Ex Machina at the very end of the movie. Completely called it. Of course it was. At the very end, they're like, oh my gosh, we're all going to get destroyed by the Emperor and his army. And then all of a sudden, all these people come out of the galaxy. And I'm like, oh, yay. I'm like, we already fetching saw this in the trailer. You want to know how to do an effective trailer? Watch The Force Awakens, where all you hear is Andy Serkis' voice saying, there's been an awakening. And then you see John Boyega pop out of the desert. Then you watch like a freaking X-Wing climb across the sky.
Well, that was a teaser. You're talking about teasers. Teasers are good.
No, just like some trailers can still be cut like good and then you watch Kylo Ren walk out of the freaking forest with his lightsaber. I still get goosebumps just talking about it.
That's a teaser.
It's a commercial. I don't know what a teaser. What's the difference between teaser and trailer?
Teasers are very short, and they only show snippets of it, and then
That's
trailers.
still like a minute and a half long. You can't say it's short. Like a teaser is like a spot on the Super Bowl where it's
Yeah,
like,
it's like 30
in
seconds.
theaters, not playing. Like,
And there's
watch
not
this movie.
Do you remember when 24
Rated theaters, not
popped up on the Super Bowl tie when all you hear is like ching
Oh
ching?
my gosh.
Yeah. And then it got longer each time, and you're like, oh, it's coming back.
24's coming back. Oh, fuck yeah, America. Can't wait to torture them terrorists. Yeah, that show, man. So yeah, Loki was much better the second episode. Going all the way back to Loki conversation. Okay, so I watched the most endearing Pixar movie I've seen since Coco. Lucas, have you seen
No,
it?
I haven't seen it yet. Good.
It is, okay, I don't want to build it up. Yeah, just go watch it.
Well,
It's a Disney
you liked
Pixar.
Raya, though, and I didn't really care for that one.
What? No. I did not like Raya.
Oh,
Did you
you
hear
didn't?
all my criticisms of... Well, okay, I said it was perfectly fine. My favorite thing was the message at the end. I was like, that's the best message they've pushed on little kids for the longest time.
Well, and Ryan's
Don't
kids
judge
running
them.
around, like, pretending to be
Yes,
Raya.
Ryan's
That
children
was the cutest thing
watching... Yeah, that was
I've ever
much
seen in my
sweeter
life.
than the actual film. It made the film watching experience much better. But I liked Lucas much better than Raya. And one thing that annoyed me was that actress playing Raya the dragon. I was like, this is who you have as the charismatic lead. Like Eddie Murphy playing Donkey and Mushu. You had, all the other famous, like Codsworth and the Clock and Potts and all the other characters. They were so whimsical and their voices matched the characters they were portraying on screen. I'm looking at this like blue, phony looking dragon, and it's this high, whiny, nasally voice. It didn't match the dragon, took me out of the movie entirely. She was not charismatic. She wasn't funny at all. Like, I have a feeling that there was like, they probably had written jokes for her, or they said, you're a comedian, why don't you write your funny material? And it was like, oh, why don't I just say this? That's kind of funny. And it's like, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Diversity hire, you can do whatever you want, man. Like, bless her heart. Maybe she was the best suited for the job, An Asian chick playing a Komodo dragon. Sure, I don't know. And in fact, that actress is really funny in Crazy Rich Asians, Like, she's fine. But there was just something wrong in Raya the Last Dragon. It annoyed me. Her voice annoyed me. Everything about her annoyed me. And I normally find her very, very funny. So, anyway, it just took me out of the experience. Like I said, you had all the, like Genie, Robin Williams, right? Like charismatic creature sidekicks that can be so fun and they can add or detract from your movie, and she only detracted. And that flying baby did too. That baby was super weird. It made me feel really uncomfortable. Any autonomous baby that like robs people and is super aware and acts like an adult always makes me feel uncomfortable.
It always makes me think of when you talk about like babies like that. I think of the crawling baby on the ceiling and Train Spotting.
Oh my god, that's a disturbing thing. I thought you were gonna say Baby's Day Out.
Yes,
and setting that guy's on fire with a lighter.
That's totally like those guys are
Our
totally
poor
fans of
listeners.
Three Stooges. I mean, it's
Oh yeah. But those movies are terrible. They do not hold up.
so funny.
Oh my gosh, no, they're not funny. They're so dumb.
They make me laugh.
And he's like got his torch right at his. Doesn't do anything. The little baby hand is like waving the lighter.
The lighter at his
dick, dude. Setting his on fire, dude. So disturbing.
So funny.
Oh, movie is not meant for kids. So what else have you seen? Lucas was, like I said, I don't want to. You go watch it. It's a very sweet film, and I like it very much.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say about
I'll
it.
check it out.
Because again, I don't want you to be like, I didn't like it as much as Coco, or it wasn't as good as Up, or whatever. It's like, watch it. It's so sweet. I loved it. I absolutely loved Lucas. I think it's so great.
I just have to
So watch
say
the-
one quote from Drive, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Shut your mouth, or I'll kick your teeth down your throat and shut it for you."
Was that Nemo's dad, right? That's
No,
who says
that was
Or-
actually Ryan
Oh, that was
Gosling.
Ryan Gosling?
Yeah.
Oh, when does he say that? I can't even remember that line.
Well, the guy,
that-
so he does,
Yeah.
he drives for people, right? And one of the people that drove, one of the people he drove recognized
Miss
him.
Daisy.
No, recognized him at a restaurant, and so he came up to him and started talking to him. He's like, "I got another job for you." And he's like, that's when he
that's
turns
right.
to him
He's
and
like,
he gets all
"Stop talking."
serious and
Yeah.
says, "Shut your mouth,
Yeah.
or I'll shut it for you." And it's
That's
just,
right.
it's so intense. Holy crap! That's when you start to see like the real Ryan Gosling, the Scorpion. Dude, I can't wait to do that one on the pod. Oh my gosh, there's so many good movies. Eastern Promises. I feel like that guy from Scanners. His head just. Oh.
I watched one other thing. I can't remember what it was. I started Andromeda Strain, which is really interesting. It's the Michael Crichton book.
Oh yeah, what do you think about that?
I like it so
It's
far.
a cult classic.
I'm just surprised that I'm like watching it and I'm like, it's rated G. I didn't even bother to see what it was G for. Not like you need to. And there's like a topless woman and like lying dead somewhere, and I'm like, oh, it's a G-rated film.
No,
what do you know?
that's-
1971 was a different time.
That's like
suppose.
Clash of the Titans, the old one.
Yeah, but it's just her butt, right?
No,
Well, I guess- I
you
don't
see
know.
her breastfeeding. There's like naked.
Yeah, breastfeeding. Yeah,
I'm just saying for an old
Yeah,
like
you're
films.
you're for
today-
G, yeah, PG.
Yeah,
whatever.
films
It's
today.
an old PG. It's an old G. I've just never heard that before. Like, it was 1971, which was a different time, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the Michael Crichton book. I read most of it. I didn't finish it, but he's the one that wrote Jurassic Park. He's a very famous author, and so Andromeda Strain was like that interesting virus one, kind of like that dread sense of like nuclear warfare, or what if there was like dangerous chemical out in space that came back with a satellite and infected everyone, and everyone's freaking everyone's freaking blood turns to pulverized dust and powder in their bodies, and they just die on the spot. Super disturbing.
It's so
Because they
good.
cut open this guy's wrist, and then there's just like red sand pouring out of his wrist. It's like a freaky visual. In the 1971, when the movie came out, I was like, dang, I bet that freaked the out of people in theaters, dude. They're like, oh my god, like, I don't know, man, right? Like, what did they see in the 70s? I mean, what
That's
other
true.
movies did they have, like
grandma.
crazy stuff?
I mean, Grandpa vomiting after seeing Godzilla.
I know, no, yeah, he vomited during King Kong,
King Kong.
versus Godzilla, or whatever it was. I don't know if that was the King Kong movie. It's the one with like the claymation. The two dinosaurs are like hitting each other, and then when it's not the claymation figurines, it's the two people in a monkey suit and a lizard costume punching each other in a parking
Or
lot.
how about the one that he's flying and he's just swinging his feet in the air? I love that.
Wait, what?
There's a Godzilla where he's like in the air
yeah.
floating and he's like kicking his feet in the air.
Kicking his feet,
So
yeah,
funny.
kick. It's like a kung fu movie. Oh my gosh, that's great. I can't think of the other movie that I watched. Dang it, I'll have to think of. I'll look at my.
Oh, somebody
history and see
recommended
what I-
Silverado, so I'm looking forward to that. I need to watch that.
Silverado.
It's a classic Western, apparently.
Western, yeah. So, and then of course all the other movies that I did for the podcast. So, super excited, everybody. This was Futro Hidden Movie Gems. Leave us an email, futuromovies@gmail.com. Leave us a 5-star review. That's the correct number of stars. Leave us an email telling us movies that you'd like us to review in the future. Or leave us a comment. Follow us, like us. Check us out on Twitter, Spotify, Premium. I don't know. We don't have Spotify Premium, do we? Check us out on Spotify. Check us out on all the social media things, Facebook, Instagram. You can send our Patreon. Check us out. I think that's it. So everybody, this is Future Hidden Movie Gems signing out. Peace. Be most excellent to each other.